Hi everyone, this is Pookie Boob with Fat Fitness. And today, and just like every day that I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be discussing the daily meditations for addicts called Just for Today. It's a book. It's a book, and it was made by NA. So if you have a copy of it, read along. I'm going to finally figure it out. I could just post a link right there for any of you guys who want to read along with it. That's much easier than what I was doing before. Um, or you can read with it just from the book. And if you don't know what the Just for Todays are, they're daily meditations for the addict, whether they are recovering or not, actually. I mean, honestly, that's what they are there for, but these are like really good principles just in general for anybody to follow, really. So get into it, and I'm gonna read it, tell you my thoughts on it. Today is October 29th. October 29th, where are you? Do I know the months? Not really. That's December. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay, there you are. All right, October 29th. Living just for today relieves the burden of the past and the fear of the future from the basic text. And when it says it's from the basic text, they mean from the big blue book or the big book or the AA book, whatever way you say it. It's the big book, and it is the life story and the principles on which AA was founded on. By the way, hi, I am Pookie Boo. I mean, not on this live stream in particular, but if that's something that we would like to go into at some point, and maybe one of my yoga videos, we could do that. But this is for the Just for Today's in particular. Like, these are to help discuss these kind of issues that we're having with our addict problems. So thoughts of how bad it was or could be can consume our hopes for recovery. Fantasies of how wonderful it was or could be can divert us from taking action in the real world. That's why in Narcotics Anonymous, we talk about living and recovering just for today. In NA, we know that we can change. We've come to believe that our higher power can restore the soundness of our minds and hearts. The wreckage of our past can be dealt with through the steps. By maintaining our recovery just for today, we can avoid creating problems in the future. Life is recovery. Life in recovery is no fantasy. Daydreams of how great using was or how we can use successfully in the future. Delusions of how great things could be. Overblown expectations that set us up for disappointment and relapse. All are stripped of their power by the program. We seek God's will, not our own. We seek to serve others, not ourselves. Our self centeredness and the importance of how great things could or should be for us disappears. In the light of recovery, we perceive the difference between fantasy and reality. So, just for today, I am grateful for the principles of recovery and the new reality they've given me. So, in this particular section of the Just for Today's, it's basically when you are in early recovery, and technically, if you want to go by whatever definition, I'm technically in early recovery. So it's just like, you'll have to see that in one of my yoga videos. This is not the place for it. And quite frankly, I think you just want me to show you my feet. Anyway, um, So with that being said, maybe I don't think that you should be up there. All right, so with that being said, after I just basically got suggested to show my feet on camera, it's like people are into that out there. But if you want to see my feet, you'll have to wait till I go and do yoga videos. um, so, like with recovery and how our higher power can restore the soundness of our minds and hearts, like it's very hard for people to get back or feel. It's hard to get to the point where you feel like you're not just making your life to be something way more than it actually is. And it's just like sometimes we as addicts kind of have these ideas of grandeur that we will always be, like we were meant for something way greater than this. We just have the potential. We need the potential to do it. And don't get me wrong, that is absolutely correct. And this is something that most people do not want to hear in their recovery. I know I didn't. I was very pissed off when somebody told me. And I was like, you don't fucking know me. I could totally drink again like normally. Like I could go out to a bar and have one drink on like New Year's. But that is absolutely actually not true whatsoever. Like it's, and by the way, I'm now going to have to figure out how to not have everybody shit just show up on the restream, the chat overlay, while still showing my chat overlay. That's a whole technical issue I need to figure out. But anyway, because I feel like that's probably going to be an ongoing issue. um, but you can't ever have your drug of choice again. You can't. Whether it be alcohol. I mean, some of the things are like totally like, yeah, definitely, absolutely. Like, I could never do that again. Like, nobody ever says, like, oh, I could totally do meth, like, recreationally. Like, but there are certain things that people are like, you think that you can do it again at some point. And alcohol being one of them, cigarettes, coffee, marijuana. Um, those are like maybe even cocaine. Cocaine, some people do that recreationally. Shrooms. Those things are not necessarily addictive per se. I mean, some of them are most definitely addictive, but not every single one of them is addictive. But they do have, if you are an addict, anything can become addictive to the point where it's an actual detriment on your life. And those are the ones that you have to do the shadow work to pinpoint that you're. And I think that my stream kind of froze, but whatever. And I forgot what I was talking about. My brain is shot today. I got upset at my man for something today, and I'm still kind of recovering from that. And I'm kind of just not in a great place mentally. I wasn't in a great place mentally yesterday. I'm not in a great place mentally today. And my brain is just not focused on anything whatsoever. So I apologize for that. I'm trying, and because this is actually very serious shadow work. And even though I'm not enjoying doing this right now, I know by even just reading this text to myself that it helps me in my recovery because recovery never ends. Like, I could be fucking 80 years old and I would still have to read this fucking book so I don't fucking drink. And it is a sad, bleak reality for us that have addiction because that is our actual reality. Our actual reality is constantly fighting against everything that we actually feel like we are and trying to make us better so that we don't feel that way. And it's really hard to get all that under wraps, if even possible. I've never met anybody that's just like, yeah, no, I'm good. I never have to do any of that shit. Like, I recovered. Nobody recovered. We all are just recovering. And it's a very sad, bleak reality, which is what this Just for Today is talking about in the nicest way possible. Like, I'm in no mood to like try to sugarcoat that shit because it sucks. Having to live with this illness, this disease, fucking sucks. It sucks. Because you sit here, you're just trying your very best to not disappoint yourself, let alone everybody else. Thankfully, I have a great support system. So it's like I always have somebody to turn to. But not everybody has that. Not everybody has that. It's very sad that some people really have to try to figure out this shit alone. And it's something that you cannot figure out alone. And now you have to add on a whole nother layer of making friends and making actual genuine ones. And that is the hardest part because people suck. People suck. It's like, even when you go to these AA meetings or NA meetings or even IOP, which is how I got clean personally, like, those people could be the fakest and phoniest people you'll ever fucking meet. They'll tell you straight to your face that they've been sober for fucking like, oh, my tongue ring fell out. But they'll like tell you straight to your face that it's like they've been clean and sober for 5, 10 years, 20, 25. Yet they fucked up like for an entire week last year or something, or even the day before, and they're just ashamed to admit it. And don't get me wrong, like, that sucks for them, but it's just like that fake and phoniness of you hiding what you're doing to a newcomer, especially. It's like, that's kind of shitty because it's like you're setting them up for thinking that once you get past a year, it's all fucking daisies and loveliness and you never have to struggle with your disease. And even if you do, it's just like, yeah, I struggle, but not really though. Like, I'm good, I'm fine. And I hate that shit. I really do. It's just like, I feel like everybody would be just so much the more better if they were just actually honest with themselves and their opinions and how they're feeling and what they're doing. Like, there is absolutely no reason why we can't just be supportive and nice to each other while also being truthful. Because when you start like, okay, so my brother-in-law, like, and my sister, they basically raised me since I was like a teenager. So one of the things that he said to me, he's kind of like a father figure to me. He said to me, he's just like, you're better off telling the truth no matter what you're doing, because when you catch yourself in a lie, it ends up being more and more trouble for you. And that really stuck with me. It really did, because it's like, why lie? And the thing is that I even though it stuck with me and I thought that's what I was doing, I was still lying to myself. I was still saying, I'm fine. I'm Superwoman. I can handle doing this. I can drink and I could become successful. And I did do pretty fucking good for a while. I did. But then you hit that tipping point. Thankfully, I caught myself at that tipping point and I got myself help, but some people never get help at the tipping point. They just see people descend into actual chaos. And that's sad. It's so sad to see that happen. And that's when people start noticing. And not only that do they start noticing, but they blame you for it. They blame you. They're just like, can't you just stop? It's easy. You just don't do it. And it's just like, oh yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great if that was how that worked. Because if that's how it worked, I would have fucking did that. Asshole. And took a lot of and honestly, me getting clean was me taking my self-hatred that I had of myself and taking that inwards on myself and saying, you know what, bitch? You deserve to suffer right now. And that's how I got clean. And how fucked up is that? That I literally was hurting myself in a weird, convoluted way by getting clean. Like everybody says that it's like, it's better to be clean, but they never see the going through it part. Rarely do people show the going through, the getting over it part. I was crazy. Absolutely fucking crazy. And that's what this book is kind of trying to say, is that it's just like life in recovery is no fantasy. It's not a fantasy. This is our actual everyday waking life that we have to deal with. And honestly, it's just like people like to compare addiction to like a disease of some sort, where they're just like, you wouldn't say the person that broke their leg. No, the person who had cancer is just like, just fucking get over it. But it's just like, in my opinion, this is like so much worse than cancer, because it's like nobody believes you. With cancer, they believe you. Like, you say you have cancer, they're just like, oh gosh, what can I do for you? You say you have addiction, they're just like, oh, that sucks. Like, do you need anything? I guess. Like, it's not the same reaction you get. It's like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that support you when you do tell them, if you tell them. But not everybody understands it to the point that you do. And even you don't understand it at first. And you're just like, and then honestly, understanding is only half the problem. The other half is basically saying to yourself, no, I want this. And that's why it's like when people say to you, when you have been trying to get clean, it's just like you don't really want it. Because it's like people that have gone through addiction, that have gone clean before, they know what it feels like to want to be sober, because it is not just, no, I'm gonna do it this time. Yep. And then you're looking at the person who's just like, no, you ain't. Because if you wanted to do it this time, you would be locked in a bedroom fucking crying your eyes out because you want it so bad, and you're like, fucking no. No. You have to tell your brain no. And your brain is a petulant fucking toddler that's having a fucking temper tantrum on the fucking ShopRite floor. And you're the parent that's just like had enough. They've just been beaten by life. And that's how you have to treat your brain. So if you're going to somebody like, no, I'm absolutely going to do it this time. See, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take like, I'm just going to cut back. I'm just going to cut back. I'm just going to make sure that I only drink maybe one drink a night. And then I'll slowly make that a half a drink. Then I'll make that, it's like, and that never works. It never works. People say it works. It don't fucking work because eventually you're still going to have to cold turkey it at the end of the day. You're still gonna. And it sucks. And by the way, if you're ever looking to go through withdrawal symptoms when you are actually ready to quit, I very highly suggest going to an actual rehab because me personally, I did not. I did not go to a rehab. I very much could have died. I could have died during that process. Alcohol withdrawals can actually kill you. And I'm telling you what, man, I was at the point where I was going through all of that. And it's like part of me was just like, fuck it. If I die, I die. Fuck it. And it's just like, that is not a great way to feel. It's not a great way to live. And you don't want to get to the point where you have to, but eventually you're going to have to get to that point where it's like you're willing to hurt yourself for the better of yourself. And if that means hurting your pride, then so be it. Go to that, go ask questions, go call places, call the local hospital and say, hey, I'm kind of going through a crisis right now. I don't need to be hospitalized, but do you know any resources that I could reach out to? And because, I mean, basically what happened to me when I finally decided to get sober, and it's always an aha moment, by the way. Like, I had gotten blacked out. Like, I had worked an overnight shift and I had to be back at work at 3 p.m. So I got off work at 7 a.m. and I need to be back at work at 3 p.m. I started drinking as soon as I got home at 7:30 in the morning. And I said to myself, as long as I stop drinking by 10 a.m., I should be okay to go to work at 3, which is absolutely true. I have done that before. But because of my illness, because of the fact that I can never just drink how many I say I'm going to drink, that was the tipping point for me where it's like I got to the point where I was drinking all the way up until about 2:30, and I literally went to go sit in my car and I was contemplating whether or not I could make it to work. And I was not blacked out drunk at this point, but I was fucked up. And I mean fucked up. And thankfully, I had the fortitude to just be like, Jess, it doesn't matter if you get in trouble or not. You cannot go to work. You cannot drive this car. You cannot. Mind you, I took care of people for a living. And that was just like, okay, so I called out. They were pissed as a motherfucker that I called out. I called out while I was drunk. I don't know if they could tell I was drunk. I don't know anything. But then I said to myself, well, I have off work today, so I just kept on drinking. I drank a whole handle of 100 proof Admiral Nelson. And I could have very well died that day. I really could have, because I've had the bariatric surgery, and that makes you have a whole lot less tolerance for alcohol as is. Let me put that in perspective. With the bariatric surgery, you can get damn near blacked out drunk off of 3 shots. 3 shots of just normal ass 30% alcohol. I was drinking 99 proof Admiral Nelson, and I drank a handle of it. Admiral Nelson is rum, by the way. So apparently, while I was blacked out, I started calling everybody, and I started calling everybody to tell them that I was going to kill myself. I don't remember doing this whatsoever. Imagine that. Like, you get to a point where you don't, like, it's like blacking out is like pressing the stop button on a VCR. I don't know if any like of you younger kids would understand that, but it's like basically like shutting off the screen of your computer. It is putting the blackout screen on your phone. Your phone is still running, but you don't see what it's doing. That's what your body does. You literally poisoned your brain so much that you were still going, but your brain just said, "Nah, you don't want to see this shit." And I literally blacked out probably somewhere around like maybe like I don't know 3 o'clock. You always remember the last shot before you black out though. And I woke up at like 10 p.m. to my man, who we were in the middle of a massive breakup at the time, in my bed with me. And I don't remember what happened. So it's just like, imagine the dude that you just broke up with 2 days ago is now in your bed. You know, like that's how insanely crazy alcohol and addiction is. Like it will drive you bonkers. But in the like when you think of recovery, you're like, it's got to be a lot better than that. It's got to be. It's like, and don't get me wrong, it is. But you think like sunshines and fucking rainbows, not like, oh my god, I'm 30 years old now and it feels like I'm 24 and I didn't learn half the shit that everybody else learned and I'm just like an alien in this world that we live in right now. It's like that's kind of how you feel, and it's insane. It's insane. It's at and not to mention it just like any drug in particular will fuck some shit up in your brain or your teeth or your bones or your lungs or your liver or your gallbladder. Something in you is fucked up already. You fucked it up already. It's done. It's like I'm 30 years old and I got fucking dry rot brain. And that sucks. And that's what they mean by it's not all sunshines and butterflies once you get into recovery. It's so much better than being under the influence. And that's the only reason why I decided to tell my war story on that one. But like the the future is not as easy as you think it's gonna be. And that's why it's so important to have a it's so important to have that support system to help you get through it, to help you not feel like you're a burden on society or that you can't do this anymore. And what is the fucking point? Because it's like the point is that you're still living, and if you're still living, you could always make it better. And that's just really the simple and the bleakness of it. And oh yeah, so when I did finally wake up the next day, that's when I started calling around. I called at least like 30 psychiatrists. I called urgent care. I called the hospital. I called anybody that I could think of that might be able to help me with my mental health because I knew it was fucked at that point. Like, I called people and told them I was going to kill myself. Mind you, I have the biggest problem with my pride. Like, I don't reach out for help. Well, I do now, but back then, I didn't reach out for help. I was Superwoman. I could do everything. Everything I could do by myself. Don't need your help? No, I got it. Thank you. It's like, I don't want to be indebted to you. And it's just like, that's not how it works. Just because you're getting help from somebody doesn't mean that you owe them jack shit. Like, and that's a revelation in itself. Like, really, you don't owe anybody jack shit. And nobody owes you jack shit. So you have to accept help when they want to give it to you, and you have to ask for help because they're not going to know because they're worried about their own lives. And it's it's not the greatest revelation when you've been living in survival mode for almost your entire life. Like, when you finally get to a point where you don't feel like you're surviving anymore and you're trying to live, it's really hard because it's like that's that PTSD shit. Like, people discount that even normal ass people that don't go to war have that. It's like I've been through a lot of traumatic experiences that have shaped me into the person that I am, but I would very much love it if I was not the person I am. Like, and it's just like, no matter how much people like me or dislike me or like looking at me or like looking at my feet, it's, you still don't feel like you have a purpose until you make one for yourself. And it's sucky. Sorry if I ranted and raved and talked about my life. And I mean, I suppose that's the point of video blogging or whatever the fuck this is. I'm not so great today. I'm probably not going to be great for a while. You're going to see me getting better and worse every day. That's also a part of the reason why I did this is because I wanted to show that this is like every day. This is not just, somebody pops into your life like a TV. It's like every day you need to work on yourself. And this is me working on myself. Like, I feel camera shy. I don't like being on camera. I really don't know what to say. But my point of view was that it's like, well, Jess, you're uncomfortable with it. And why? It's like, there's nothing wrong with you. If anybody else can be on screen, so could you. And I still haven't quite figured out that answer yet. It's like maybe it's some residual self-hatred, or it's the trauma from the incessant bullying that I had in grade school. Because I decided to name my channel Fat Fitness, by the way. Because I want people to know that it's like, just because you're fat doesn't mean that you can't be fit. It's like everybody is at different points in their journey. And that's the same thing with addicts. Everybody is at a different point in their journey. And my point of my journey is that it's like, I feel like I'm pretty damn fit. It's like I'm mentally relatively fit. I'm not doing so great right now, but that doesn't mean that it's not there. The building blocks aren't there and that I'm not actively working on it. It's like there is no end goal, is what I'm saying. Like, everybody always has an end goal. It's just like, okay, I'll be fine as soon as I get under 120 pounds. Okay, that's a great goal. Great goal. Great goal. But it's just like, okay, what do you do once you hit under 200 pounds? Then you have to come up with a new goal. So there is never an end goal. And that's why it's also recovery. It's just like there is no recovered because, okay, so you quit alcohol, you quit meth, you quit cocaine, you quit heroin, you quit cigarettes, you quit smoking coffee. I wonder if people do that. Anyway, um, drinking coffee. It's just like once you finish doing that, does that mean that you're done? It's like, no, there's so much more than just quitting the substance. You have to do the shadow work. You have to constantly challenge yourself because that motherfucking bitch addiction just likes to creep and crawl in the back of your head, just always there, always itching to take over control. And every time they see a little opening, they're like sperm cells that's just like, there's the egg. Like, And you have to be like, no, bitch, we're not doing that today. And you have to always be ready for it. Always. You always have to be ready for that moment in your brain that is going to tell you that it's okay to drink again. It's okay to do heroin again. And those are the people that end up ODing and dying. And that is the also frail and sad future that we will face as recovering addicts. Like, we are always going to feel like we were always disadvantaged. We are going to feel like our brain is no good. And we have to constantly gas ourselves up and have all of our support group gas us up saying, no, you are actually awesome. And you know what? Eventually you do start believing that to a certain extent, but then you have those days of depression or those days where somebody dies, you lose a career, you get fired, your car breaks down, somebody accidentally gave you alcohol when you were out at a restaurant. How do you deal with those moments? Those moments are the moments where you really have to always be prepared for. And it's like, it sucks that you have to always be prepared for it. You always have to know. You always have to be aware that you are an addict. And it sucks. Did I say that enough during this? That sucks. But either way, we keep on keeping on, and that's what this blog of sorts, I suppose I made that for, to show that you just keep on keeping on. And there's good days and there's bad days. Today is particularly a bad day for me. But tomorrow, hopefully, will be a better day. And if it is a bad day, then we'll just have to deal with it then. And that's all I have to say on that subject for today, is that it's true. The future is bleak as a recovering addict, but it's not nearly as bad as when you were doing your active addiction. And I am thankful that I went through all that, that I am finally at a point where I feel free from it at the moment. I know it's around the corner. It's like always having like a serial killer just around the corner, just give you a little stab. But anyway, for the streamers that are listening to me right now, I hope to hear everything in comments, and hopefully you can come watch me every day that I do this. I do this Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. and then Saturday and Sunday I do it at 1 p.m. And you could always check out the actual streams. I record them on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. So it's like, if you'd like to comment and keep the discussion going on this particular Just for Today and tell me your thoughts on said Just for Today, I would love to hear them. I really actually would. I love listening to people. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have a habit of talking over people. So there's the great thing about me being on a camera. That's another thing I'm working on. But anyway, I hope to hear from anybody, not the foot guy. I mean, unless you want to go check out my yoga and you actually have foot pain. That's not what this is for, though. Thank you, though. And I will hopefully have all of my shit up and running for my fat fitness program soon. Mental health kind of gets in the way of shit. Anyway, I hope to hear from you all soon. I will talk to you later. This is Pookie Boob checking out. Bye.